A Charming Fellow by Frances Eleanor Trollope, narrated by Aaliyah Powell. Chapter 1.
A Charming Fellow by Frances Eleanor Trollope, Volume 1, Chapter 1. To be frank with you, Mr. Diamond, I don't believe Dr. Bodkin understands my son's genius. I beg your pardon, madam. You said your son's genius, sir, the bent of his genius. Algy's is not a mechanical mind. Mrs. Errington slightly tossed her head as she uttered the word mechanical. Mr. Diamond said, "Oh," and then sat silent. The room was very quiet. The autumn day was fading, and the mingling of twilight and firelight and the stillness of the scene were conducive to mute meditation. It was a long, low room with an uneven floor, a whitewashed ceiling crossed by heavy beams, and one large bow window. It was furnished with the spindle-legged chairs and tables in use in the last century. A crimson drugget covered the floor, and in front of the hearth lay a rug made of scraps of black and coloured cloth, neatly sewn together in a pattern. Over the high wooden mantelpiece hung on one side a faded watercolour sketch of a gentleman with powdered hair, and on the other an oval miniature of much later date, which represented a fair, florid young lady, with large, languid blue eyes and a red mouth, somewhat too full-lipped. Notwithstanding the years which had elapsed since the miniature was painted, it was still sufficiently like Mrs. Errington to be recognized for her portrait. There was an old harpsichord in the room, and a few books on hanging shelves. But the only handsome or costly object to be seen were some delicate blue and white china cups and saucers, which glistened from an oaken corner cupboard, and a large work-box of tortoise-shell, inlaid with mother-of-pearl, lined with amber satin, and fitted with the implements of needlework in richly chased silver. The box, like the china cupboard, stood wide open to display its contents, and was evidently a subject of pride to its possessor. It was entirely incongruous with the rest of the furniture, which, although decent and serviceable, was very plain and rather scanty. Nevertheless, the room looked snug and homelike. The coal fire burnt with a deep glowing light. A small copper kettle was singing cheerily on the hob. Tea things were laid on a table in front of the fire, and a fitful moaning wind that rattled now and then against the antique casement enhanced the comfort of the scene by its suggestion of forlorn chilliness without. But however the influence of the time and place might incline Mr. Diamond to silence, they had no such effect on Mrs. Errington. After a short pause, during which she seemed to be awaiting some remark from her companion, she observed once more, "No, I do not think the doctor understands Algy's genius, and that is why I was anxious to ask your advice on this proposition of Mr. Filthorpe's." "But, madam, why should you suppose me likely to understand Algernon better than Dr. Bodkin does?" "Oh, because, in the first place, you're younger."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?